Very happy to
It's
have you.
nice meeting you all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 17 of them are here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Is
Okay.
my am I audible properly and the video is fine?
Yes.
Yes, everything
Yes.
is well.
Okay. You want something there? If there's any disturbance, let me know so that I'll make it fine now itself.
Yeah. Sure.
We are good to go.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So we just introduced ourselves, Dr. Pavitra.
Yeah.
To introduce yourself and your accomplishments, it would be really great.
You want me to
Uh,
introduce?
maybe Vidya, maybe you can start by introducing Dr. Pavitra, and then maybe she can go ahead and talk something about herself,
Yeah,
right?
that would be better.
Yeah.
Hello everyone. She's Dr. Pavitra and she's running Pragyan Parenting on Instagram and she has done her doctorate, that is her PhD in health sciences, okay, and she is won a gold medal in her doctorate degree. This is not a simple accomplishment. We have, even I have done my PG, but no gold medal and all. Lot of research is required before they get their PhD degree. So sorry, PhD doctorate. So it's not an easy thing. She has done research literally for over 9 years. So please tell us more on this, Dr. Pavitra.
Very good evening to everybody over here. I'm very happy that so many of you have joined here. I think you must be all young mothers or mothers of kids with the age of about 8 years, I believe, because this program is going to help them all the mothers who have the children from 0 to 8 years. Fine. And coming to my accomplishment, like I feel every mother is highly accomplished. It is not just who has learned, or because once you become a mother, like you need hundreds of PhDs being done every day in and out. From my in my case, it's like I have done my PhD in human development and family studies, then my MSc in child guidance and family counseling, and I have written many research articles in and published them in national and international journals. And I have been awarded as a young scientist in 2018, and gold medals for my BSc, MSc, as well as in PhD. And I think, yeah, some oral presentations have been awarded as the best oral presenter also. Okay, and I have been in this research field for about 9 to 10 years. Okay, because I was in All India Coordinated Research Project on Child Development earlier. Then I resigned my bank job because I had a passion to work for children, wherein we can really bring about a beautiful change in parenting, because we cannot do something with the children actually because they are so small and we cannot like counsel them. In fact, we need to counsel the parents so that they can mold their children how exactly for what they are born, with what abilities they come into this world, right? So we started this Pragyan actually 2 years back with a wonderful aim that what we feel is every parent should have the wonderful parenting competency so that they can help their child at every developmental stage. Because see, at every development stage, your needs are different. Okay, the child's needs are different, and as a parent, what you have to do is totally different. So we want to help those parents along their journey and make them happy, satisfied, leave them stress free, and see to it that the children like bloom with success, satisfaction, and utmost happiness. That is what we aim at. So we have arena for like different services that we provide at Pragyan. We provide parenting consultations one-to-one, that is online as well as offline. Like parents come up with many problems like behavior problems of children, tantrums. They come up for like some people are not worried, but they want to give something more for their children. What best can we do? They come up with that idea. And there are some issues when like maybe a single parent is there, she doesn't know how to deal with the child, and she comes to us, and It's not only for small children, like our arena is up to teenagers and young adults, because we have child assessment over here, wherein we assess children for learning styles, their multiple intelligences, career counseling, fine, and we keep on conducting workshop for parents, teachers, and even adolescents as well. So I think this is what we are doing at Pragyan, right? Yeah.
Okay.
That's really nice, and it's
Thank
really
you.
an honor to have you with us. We are
Thank you.
more than happy to have you with us, Dr. Pavitra. Uh,
Thank you
so
so much.
uh, yeah, today's topic, I mean, of the session is basically how to stimulate children, or how to stimulate, like how to intervene at an early stage of childhood
Yes.
to bring about positive changes in children, like for the for the entire holistic development of the child. Okay,
Yes.
so when we say early stimulation for holistic development, like what exactly are we talking about over here? Is it something like that okay, a child is not able to talk properly? Because this is one common thing which I have seen, I
Mhm.
myself have seen, that there is a kid who is 3 year old, and maybe
Mhm.
like he is very well rhyming. Say like he's very well versed with rhymes, okay, but then when it comes to
Mhm.
talking or communicating, there are some gaps which I have seen, which I have seen, like in one of my friends' kid. Okay, so something like that. So whatever we are going to discuss today, is it something going to help in the overall way a child develops, or is it something like that we are going to fast track any of the development stage of the baby? So if you can like let us know more about that.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Nilofer. Yeah. What today's topic is about early stimulation and how it is going to help in the holistic development of the children. Okay. So what I mean by stimulation is you must be like getting many posts, and you must have been hearing here and there like, okay, a child has a lot of potential in the first 2 years, first 3 years. Let us back them up with and make them genius. Fine. You must be hearing all these things, right? That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. See, I'll tell you, that's all, that's exactly right. See, children are like born with tremendous potential, but it all depends on like what kind of environment that we are going to provide them. With all environment, I don't say that luxury kind of a thing or something like that, but what kind of interaction that you're going to have with your child, that
Right.
is going to affect like how the child would turn out to be, right? So yes, stimulation here clearly means that any action, any interaction, or any activity that you do with your own child, and spend time with the children, and if that is going to help them out in their developments, like it may be language, it may be cognitive, it may be motor activities, or it can be socio-emotional. Okay, any one of these, if it is helping, then it is called a stimulation. Okay, anything. For example, you may be doing something in your home with your child. Can you just tell me like what do you do like with your children?
See, like
Yeah.
consciously I try to like
Mhm.
because see, when I say consciously, it's like stimulating or like providing any positive thing to the child basically means that I have to first train myself, right? Because I am not in that habit. Like maybe I do subconsciously, I do so many things which may negatively affect the child, right? So that's why I have to put a conscious effort, like to ensure that I am like I have read somewhere, for example, like interact with your child, make eye contact, okay, or like if you're talking to the child, let it be a dialogue. Like you say something, wait for the child to respond, even if the child is not yet talking, okay, but still maybe like the actions that the child is doing or something, like just wait for the child to
Yes.
respond to you, and then you go back and say something. So this is something which I had to put effort to do, because normally if we are communicating with adults, we don't do that. We keep on talking, and then if that person wants to say something, okay, that person is mature enough to like start the conversation. So this was something that I like I had to put in a lot of effort, like to actually do that with my child, just so that I want him to start talking, okay, start talking something like that.
Yes, yes, I get you. But let me tell you very nicely that see, we need not do it very consciously, because when we start doing very consciously, the thing gets buffered, like because it is something like becomes like a learning for the child. See, child doesn't want to learn like that. It should be in some playway method wherein you do it very routinely. In a routine work, it should be there, as though like you're giving the milk for the child in the morning at 9. It should be some routine kind of a work where the child does it without knowledge, and child is engaged into it, but child is learning and getting stimulated at the same time. Okay, we cannot say that now, yeah, now it's time for stimulation, now we'll start stimulation. That cannot happen. It shouldn't be something like that, fine. But we should have that competency. We should build our competency in such a way that once we, like the day in and day out, when we are doing it with our children, in some or the other way, it should stimulate them, right? This is how we can go in for the holistic development. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if you
what
can
I
suggest, yeah,
yeah.
sorry, please continue.
No, fine, fine. I'll suggest. So what I've thought is at the end we'll do that, because once you get like what exactly I'm speaking, then maybe in between you'll get those answers for that, and separately I'll deal if you have anything like that to say. Fine.
Okay.
Okay. And I was telling that stimulation is one thing. What I said, we are going to stimulate them. Okay, and early, we mean early here. Many of them have been thinking that early is just about 2 years, 3 years. See, early doesn't mean 2 to 3 years. It's almost up to 6, almost up to 8 years. Because see, our brain is developing, I agree, up to 3 years. It is very fast, rapidly growing with many neurons, making new connections every second. You'll be astonished to know that every minute there are every second there are about million new synapses, that is new connections going on in the brain of the child. Yes, so we need to give, that's so hungry, the brain is so hungry, and we need to provide it, right? But at the same time, it's very important that we should not overload the brain with many things at a time. You must be looking, yeah, when you are talking to your child, you must have observed, actually the thinking is faster than the language of the child. Like,
Right.
then there is some like stammering kind of a thing that happens with the child.
Yes.
It's not stammering, but the child does it, it overlaps, the child starts overlapping with the words and all, because the brain is moving faster than the language, right? Then we need to provide more of language so that the child is able to express what exactly the child is feeling at that time, right? This is how it all goes on. And one more thing, like, see, stimulation cannot be the same for, it cannot be same for all children at all time, like what the child would need at 2 years is completely different from what the child needs at 3 or 4 years, right? Because at different developmental stage, the child would need a different stimulation. And more than that, we need to also understand that the pace of each child is different, because every child is unique. One child may start walking at about 10 months, but the other child may walk at about 14 or 16 months. Now we cannot rush there. See, if the child is not maturationally ready, we cannot push the child. We need to see that, okay, now the child is finding difficulty in standing up. So we should provide the stimulation to stand up there, not to run or do the next activities. Fine. So depending upon the maturational level of the child and as well as the developmental stage of the child, we have to provide the stimulation. Fine. It is it's a very elaborative topic, but somehow at least generalized thing I would love to give here, so that at least you will know the basic things of it. Fine. And when I say holistic development, many of us get confused with the growth and development. These are two different things, right? Growth, when we say, it is just very quantitative thing which can be quantified. See, my child has grown 2 inches higher. It's something like quantifiable. But development includes both quantitative as well as qualitative changes. It is progressive kind of a thing. See, for example, 1-year-old child may know about 10 words. See, imagine the child is knowing 10 words. But at 1.5 years, the child may know how to pronounce them properly, how to apply them, use them where they have to be used rightly. That is a qualitative change, correct? That you cannot quantify how better the child is doing it. Can you quantify it? No, you cannot quantify. But qualitatively, you understand that child has changed. The way the child is pronouncing it has changed, right? So this development is something like that. It is not similar to the growth. It includes both quantitative and qualitative. And holistic, what we mean here is each of the development doesn't take place individually. For example, there is cognitive development, language development, okay, socio-emotional development. All these are intertwined. They are like how we pleat our own hair. It's like intertwined. You know, they are all linked. They cannot move one on their own pace. Because see, anything you do, for example, you say to the child that apple is red in color. To understand this, first the child should know what is apple, child should know what is red, then child understands that apple is red. So there is language, there is cognition, right? There is logic, everything has to get into the head. So everything is going on together, but each development may take its own pace. Okay, they are not at the same pace, they are not running at the same pace, but everything is going on. So we need to look at the child as a whole child, and then see to it that all the child's requirements are met. In such a way, we need to provide the stimulation. So this topic is all about this. Fine. And before I move forward, I would like to highlight, on some research, because I have been in a lot of time in research field. I'd love to point out some research facts about this early brain development. Because see, like there are many researches are being done, they are published in research articles, but rarely they come into the general life of people wherein they understand like what all is going on and what's the truth about the infants, how they're growing, right? And luckily my PhD work was also on infants, and it was on mental health of infants. So I would love to say something, add something more about the infant, what the research has told us till now. And to this, yeah. Yes, Vidya? Anything, Vidya? Yeah. Okay. It's first thing is all children are born with a very interest and a keen desire to learn. See, this you must have observed, like we are not providing them how much they want, but they are all born to learn. For example, if any participants over here, I think you may be having anyone who is having the kid of about 3 or 4 months, 5 months, anyone over here? May I know in the comments if there are any mothers with infants or toddlers, 4 months, 5 months? Okay, toddlers. Okay, next I'll come to toddlers. Before that, if you have you must have observed when your child is growing along the time, when they're just 4 months, 5 months, you must have seen, they are so busy looking at their own hands, moving their own hands, legs, right?
Yeah.
You must have seen it, right? They are totally putting their hands, sometimes whole hand is in their mouth. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? They are trying to put their leg into their mouth, like the toe into their mouth. And if you leave them for hours together, yes, someone said, yes, she has a child of 18 months, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
My sister is having a baby of 10 months, so I think even she has replied. Yeah.
Yes.
My brother-in-law who has replied, 10 months. And yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Right? You must have observed it. If you even leave them for half an hour or 1 hour, they keep observing their hands. Right? It is all because they're trying to explore. Till then, they don't even know that they're their own hands. They try to explore that those hands belong to themselves. And you must be saying like they take their hands together, then take it out and try that again and again. That all goes on because they're exploring. They want to explore more. And more than that, you must have seen, when someone comes near to them, they start try to connect, Yes, someone says yes, 11-month-old child, correct? Yes. When someone comes near them, they start babbling, they may start cooing so that you interact. They want you to interact, right? But many a times we don't speak. We just babble as they babble. Many a times it happens. They are babbling. We are just imitating, and we just babble and go off. But what is their requirement is they want us to connect with them, react to them, respond to them. Right? This is where the stimulation is required. So they're all born to learn. What I mean to say is they are ready, but we have to provide. And even with your toddlers, or if they are about preschool going children, you must have seen, isn't it? When you get them a new toy, you want them to play systematically with the toy, but what do they do actually? They turn it around. Yes, Vidya, you have something to share?
Take it.
Yes. So, because they are not interested in systematic play. In fact, they want to see like what it is made up of, where's the key, where's the button, they want to press it, they would turn it, stumble it, put it down. See, and that's why I would say get them some less expensive toys, doesn't matter. You need not buy them very expensive ones. See to it that they're safe. That's it. If it is broken, do not worry. Your child is exploring it. So better do not get them very expensive ones wherein you'll feel so bad because you just want to keep them in the showcase, not give them in their hands. See, that shouldn't happen. You just have to give them in their hands. Give them utensils, doesn't matter. Give them utensils, but see to it that they won't hurt themselves. That's it. That's the requirement for young children. But make sure that they are manipulative. They can do anything with those toys. Someone even on Facebook someone had a query that my child is very busy with the blocks, and she said that her child was about 18 months, right? See, at that it is very important. A child is so busy in stacking the blocks. It happens. The child is not interested in pretend play or playing with the toys and other dolls and kind of things. Child wants to see like how long can I stack, like how will it stand, how deep the things are, what is the width. These all things are going in the brain of the child, so child wants to learn that. So then you provide such kind of things rather than trying to know that why the child is not busy with other dolls and all. At every age the child's needs are different, right? So this is one thing. They are born to learn, right? The other thing is though the brain starts growing and developing till the end, the plasticity of the brain is till the end, but the foundational architecture of the brain is built within the first 3 years of the child's birth, right? As we have different cells in our body, our brain is made up of neurons, right? They are made up of neurons, and every second up to 3 years, 1 million new connections are happening every second. Connections means one and the other neuron are going to connect. There's a spark and then it starts. But remember that after these 3 years, pruning starts, which of those synapses were not used, they are going to wane off. Okay, this is use it or lose it kind of a theory, because once, see, for example, for every child, the part which is required for music, dance, painting, creativity, everything is like it's going on. It's a blush of things there. But at that time, if the child is not given any music to listen, you cannot expect the child to sing at the age of 6 or 7. Many of us do that, we have never provided any stimulation early for them, but later we want them to speak wonderfully. It happens. Yes.
I just have one thing, I had read about it, that a baby is born with, I don't remember the number, but millions or billions of connections, okay? And then over the period of time, more than half of those connections die away because they are not stimulated. Like, this thing, it was something like, say, I am talking in Hindi, okay? And the child is having that ability to either learn Hindi or learn Chinese also. The child can learn that because the child has never heard Chinese. The connections, the neurological connections that were in place to enable him or her to learn Chinese, those will die over the period of time.
Yes.
Words which are used remain, and the ones which are not used, they eventually just fade off. So very important thing that we stimulate, we provide the child with different things so that all the connections, like definitely all will not stay, but then the connections get stronger as the child learns and picks up the things.
I just wanted to share. Okay, I speak Kannada and my husband speaks Tamil. So some of my colleagues, ex-colleagues, used to ask us, if the child will get confused, speak one language, please don't talk to her in multilingual and all. But we were like, no, we will talk. It's just a way of communication. How you said, right? Every person they are trying to connect. But now she's 2.5. She will talk Tamil with her father. She will talk Kannada with me. Very clearly, which word has to be where. it is so surprising, really.
But I
Yes.
think just one thing to add, okay, but I think like I was advised by my pediatrician to talk to the child in one language. Is there any particular like I'm not sure like what was the reason, but it is
Yeah,
suggested.
see, yes, there is even with the like with the scholars, there is a conflict saying that some say bilingual something is okay, some say it is should be monolingual. There is still conflict among the scholars itself that what it should be. There has
Okay.
been research in both, but whatever. But I'll tell you, though you are using two language, that's fine. Actually, almost the research says it's fine, but make sure that the child understands what it means, what a particular thing means both in both the languages. Like if you're talking Kannada and Tamil, the child should understand what a
Okay.
book, what is man, yeah, that the child should follow. And see, it'll the problem, or that a particular phase, or maybe up to the child is 2.5, there will be sometimes the child starts mixing it. That happens.
Mm.
But once that stage is crossed, the child will be perfectly all right, and that particular fluency, that intonation, everything the child can get as early as the child learns. And the research
Yeah.
says whatever language that we learn after 14 years, we cannot pick up that kind of accent that usually the natives speak. So
Mhm.
whatever you have to teach the child, if you want them to speak like their natives, you need to like put it early. And of course,
Yeah.
but see, there are so many people who are abroad and they speak something else at home, and children are learning some other language at schools, and that's fine.
Uh,
Even in our context, like at home we speak Kannada, but the child is going to school learning English. Child is almost like fine, totally fine. Child can pick up everything, right? It's not a matter, like they can do
Okay,
it.
that's a quick question. So is it something
Yeah.
like should we wait till the child knows one language and then introduce another language, or it's that both different languages can go together in
No,
in
no,
one.
they can go together. Only thing is, once in a while, the child needs to be clarified that okay, what I say, like for example, I think Vidya can say like to come. If you say ba in Kannada, what would be in Tamil like?
yeah, we do that. We
Yeah,
like if
yeah,
water, or so she wants to drink water. So we will say her Neeru. If she'll ask us Neeru, she will say, "See, this is in Kannada. If you want in Tamil, ask Tanni." So we'll
yes, that's it.
immediately be like, "You
Because
want?"
see, the child, yes, the child knows, because when the teacher is speaking English, the child gets it in the school. When you come, and
Yeah.
there are so many times mothers, at so many times in the families, mothers are not so educated, but the child manages both at school and home. How is it possible then? If the child couldn't get the language, the child gets the language. The only thing is we are not supposed to overload, not pressurizing the child that learn this. If the child is interested and with interest the child is learning, there is no harm. But
Yeah.
if the child is, yeah, but if the child is not interested, is preferring one particular language, see to it that child is not maturationally yet ready for the next language, to allow the child to take his or her own pace. This is what
Correct.
I suggest. Otherwise, it would be an overstimulation where there would be overlapping of some synapses, and the child may have some problems.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yes.
if the child is fine with it, there is no problem at all. Okay?
Yeah.
Because every child's capacity would be different, right?
Yes. Yes.
Hope it's fine, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so the thing is, how much stimulation you are going to provide at that time, you can imagine that many synapses would be strengthened, right? So even though sometimes we don't love music, we don't love something else, we need to provide the stimulation. If you
Correct.
want later that child gets that, fine.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. The research has also proven that those mothers who are very expressive in nature, their children are found to be very talkative, very expressive. Why is
Yeah.
this? This is not hereditary. This is because you are interacting with your child. Many of them feel, oh, her mother is talkative, so the child is talkative. No, it's not like that. It's because when the child was such a small infant, she kept on speaking to the child, whether the child understood or not, whether the child is reacting or not. And I suggest, when even the child is so small, speak to the child in and out. Like when you're clothing your child, when you're changing diaper, nappy, whatever it is, say, yeah, I'm putting you the clothes, come here, give me your hand, give me your leg. Though the child may not know what is leg, what is, whatever it is, but say that to the child. Sing lullabies when you're making your child sleep. It's very important, when the child listens to a soothing music at the end of the day, the child's brain is calm, gets a wonderful sleep. And research has proven very clearly that beautiful lullabies sung like at night would give them good sleeping hours. You may not sing very beautifully with beautiful tones, tunes, that, this and all. That's fine. You may be a bathroom singer, that's fine. But sing for your child. So that when the child gets that, because that same thing you want to sing every day in and out, then child makes sense of it, that, oh, my mother wants me to sleep now. That connection the child makes. I tried this out with my child, and like I am an example for that. I had written my own lullaby for my child. I used to sing same song every time when I wanted to her to sleep.
Okay.
And then because that is something like the child correlates, child learns that, oh, my mama is singing this, she wants me to sleep now. That's that was how like her sleeping times were fixed, and she would never trouble me to sleep. 5 minutes or 10 minutes of that song and she's asleep. That was it. Like, and this will work you, and I'll make you sure this can work miracles. Many people have that, like, I don't know how to make my child sleep and all, but this can really work. If you can try out this, I would suggest it. And even to
Actually, then.
you'll have you have to, like, whatever it is, or maybe even if you want to tell a story, read a story for the child, even that is very fine. But it should be routinely done so that the child understands, okay, this is, because we get, once we are this is called as preparation. For example, if we know that we have an exam tomorrow, we are mentally prepared for that, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly we cannot push. And with children, we are never supposed to push them in any sudden situations.
Right. But
We need to tell them.
doctor, like doctor, how can we know that, okay, this is the limit? I should not push my child beyond this. Is it like
Yeah.
just physical irritation of the child, or like just like it looks like the child is no longer interested, then I stop it. So how can we identify?
See, usually small children have just 3 to 4 minutes of attention span. They suddenly change to some other thing. So when they change the attention to other things, then you need to understand that now this part is over. Let's do something else. But even in that, you need to have that. Like, for example, you are playing. For example, you're loving your 2.5-year-old child to bead with the strings. You're asking them to put the beads into the strings. The child is doing. Child will do it for 10 to 15 minutes maximum. Then the child will get bored. So till then, you should have some other activity wherein the child will get interested. You cannot push further. Like, it is 10 minutes is maximum for a 2.5-year child or a preschool going child. It's maximum. Nowadays we are in a busy thing that we want our children to learn everything now itself. But that shouldn't happen. See, they cannot learn everything at a time. Give them their pace. And one more thing I would suggest: do not push them into different things until they are ready for that. I have seen many parents, especially the mothers, they're so interested that my child should, like, preschool child should get into school, get into singing class, a dancing class, everything at once. They're so, like, they want the child to be everywhere, but don't do that. Like, do not push the child. Ask, they have their own preferences. You ask them. See, try to look at them, what is their ability. Are they loving to draw? Do they love crayoning? What, all that, you try to analyze that and ask them in a while, do you love to learn this more? Ask them. And this is very important. This is how you're teaching your child the decision making capacity. Decision doesn't come if you keep taking your own decisions. Decision making ability develops when you allow the child to decide. So see, one simple thing is giving them like a choice of 2 to 3 dresses and asking them, which would you prefer to wear today? It's a simple thing. Do not open the wardrobe and say, what would you wear? The child would not know and would get confused. But just give them 2 to 3 choice wherein you would love 3 of them. You keep them and say, which one out of this would you love? Then the child would feel, yes, my mama is asking my decision. She loves you. She understands. She understands that mama is respecting my decision. Later you'll find the child will also respect your decision. Right? This is how you go. Like, see, you can just, if you keep just ordering, I have seen many, even the toddlers nowadays, they pick up their own dress. They want this particular dress, you know. They are not happy with the dress that we want them to wear. They would say, I will wear this, right? And already there is a struggle of power going on between the mother and the child, or the father, and that goes on. I think Vidya has this, and she is smiling at it. Yes, right. So if you do not want that to happen, beforehand, you keep 3 dresses out, which are best for that particular occasion, and then say, which would you like to wear? See, this is how all you're going to train your children along the way, right? And one more thing is, more like apart from stimulation, the one thing every parent should remember, I would say, toxic parenting is like, we should be very careful. You should never be toxic. Like, the child should never get exposed to a lot of violence, or like when the child is very young, like spanking the child, scolding too much, or hitting. This shouldn't happen, because, you know, I'll tell you, research has totally shown that the whole architecture of the brain would change with such long-term toxic stress if the child is exposed. And you know, the like if the a normal size of the brain would be something this much, then the brain would shrink about 2 to 3 centimeters. There is research which has proven. Yes.
Yeah, the thing is, see, this pandemic time has really, you know, made us so tense. So I understand you're telling we cannot shout. See, we are not scolding. Yes, absolutely no violence and all at home, and we are not shouting at her and all. But the fear, you know, that she will go and touch something because of this virus. We end up, hey, don't touch that, don't touch that. I am scared. I know when I'm telling, after once I complete saying that, I can feel, okay, she should not know that it is, I don't know how it will impact her, because I know why I am telling her to not touch that particular place or wall or road, but it is new for her. I know she looks at me as if like, you know, why, Amma, why are you asking me not to touch? Why? It's so difficult. So how do you tell, how do we handle such situation?
Yes. See, I'll tell you, of course, this is a very new thing. Like, I think like there's no such a research also being done till now, because totally it's a new thing. Like, everyone is facing problems in every household. It is a problem now, right? And especially when you have young children, I totally agree. Yes.
It can be like, you know, kind of like our both questions can be clubbed and you can answer together. So,
okay.
That Vidya brought up, okay, it's a difficult situation. Okay, so yeah, I mean, currently we all are like, you know, living in a pandemic time, so definitely it has added like, you know, more difficulty in raising a child. Okay, now if the child is, you know, behaving very difficult, okay, say like, you know, children don't like to be changed, like, you know, their diapers to be changed. So I face this problem almost like, you know, every single time I try to change his diaper, he acts like, you know, completely out of control. Okay, so unless and until, you know, I give him a stare or like, you know, that scold him a bit, till then the situation does not resolve. Okay, otherwise, you know, his legs will be, my face will be a punching bag for his legs. Okay, so it's something like that. Now, how do we handle such situation? When we say that, yes, I mean, definitely, we do not want to scold our children. We do not want to, you know, install that fear in them that, okay, you know, they need to get scared of something. But then, you know, there's also something that we need to get certain things done from them, and also like, you know, a tiny bit of discipline also needs to be added, like, you know, right from the beginning. Because if I wait that, okay, I'll wait for the child to be 3 years and then I will discipline them, I don't know till that time whether, you know, the time is already gone and, you know, he's like completely throwing tantrums everywhere and like, you know, being uncontrollable. So when is the right time to start disciplining a child? Also, if there are difficult situations happening, okay, how do we handle it? If we don't scream or like, you know, scold at the child, then how do we go and like, you know, handle that situation?
See, I'll tell you. See, as parents, see, once in a while, if you're just frowning or just making faces, that's all fine. You know, like we are also human beings. We are not like some great humans wherein we have never lost our peace or a peace of mind. See, that happens, and that is quite normal, and that's okay. I don't say that just one day you're just saying something to your child and next day the architecture would change. No, nothing would happen like that. See, once in a while, absolutely all right. And we also, as human beings, we need to put our things out, right? We cannot be so good. We cannot wear that mask every time for 24 hours. We cannot do that, right? That's fine. That's okay once in a while. But what you can do is, for Nilufer, what I would say is, when the child is not ready for particular activity, try to understand what the child loves the most. Like if it's the music, if it's a particular song, if it is a particular rhyme or some particular toy, then see, at that particular age, distraction is the only one good thing what you can use. Okay, distract your child. If the child is loving some type, that's what I'm telling. Try out different rhymes, like maybe Johnny Johnny S Papa is very a good rhyme for the child. If he loves when you sing that, singing that, you do that activity, whatever you want to do. Then the child is like waving his hands or legs, and it becomes easy for you to do that, right? And many a times, if you use the same thing for the same activity, child understands and child gets ready for that activity many a times, right? Because this becomes a routine work. Because many children know that when they get up, they have to brush, they get to bathroom, right? That happens with the time. Yes, that is how you can do it. And with Vidya, yes, I totally agree. Is we do not want them to touch here, there, that all that is fine. But what for now, like when the children are at home, we are there with them at home, and I don't think there is something place where like there would be some problem when you leave them. If it is switchboard or such kind of a thing, please put a tixo over that so that the child doesn't touch. If they are told lower, see, that is how, like, we can take some preventive actions rather than later shouting at the child. Okay, and try to tell the child softly, and especially when you're talking to the child, do not be in some other room and shout at the child when the child is doing something outside, Instead of that, get the child, or you come to the child, sit down to the eye level of the child and then speak. When you make your eye contact with the child, those things matter a lot to the child. Child understands things. Though the child may not understand your words, but the child surely understands that my mom doesn't want me to do this activity. Fine. Okay, I'll tell you, do it every day. It should be a routine kind of a thing, Every day, whichever you don't want your child to step out of the corridor, call the child. Whenever child is going there, come there, sit with the child and say, see, don't go there, mama doesn't like. Do not stand and speak to the child, like sit down, look into the eyes of the child, or pick up the child to your level, right? Because when we are telling something to child is so small, tiny, and we are tall enough. Child feels someone is ordering, that shouldn't happen. Instead, get down to the level of the child, speak to the child, and make sure you have an eye contact. That would mean a lot. Most of the times we give instructions sitting somewhere else wherein we don't have eye contact, right?
Okay.
And those instructions which are not given with eye contact, they don't mean much to the child. It means it's okay kind of a thing. Even many times with the preschoolers, they are busy watching their cartoons and all. Their mother keeps shouting from the kitchen. Children are there on the sofa watching the TV. They don't even pay attention, Mama is shouting since long, but is sometimes in between they say. But if you do not want that to happen, go to the child, stand in front of the child, make an eye contact and see, you can see, will decide how long you can see. You decide. Don't say that, okay, you see for half an hour or 10 minutes. Ask the child, discuss, and make a bargaining kind of a thing, like if the child says 20, oh no, we'll make it 15 or 10, okay? Then we'll off. Mama will warn you once. If you don't off it, I will off it. Okay. You just finish this kind of a like discussion with the child. How we do with our colleagues or our friends, same thing, you can do it. And then you will see the change. You warn them, and of course, see, children are very young. Warning is required. Repetitive telling will be required for the child. Child will not do at once. Please do not expect it out of the child. Because child is busy in their own world. Don't expect that. But see that you want to discipline them routinely. You ask them, okay, we have discussed, and you involve them in your decision making. Only then the child will agree that it is 10 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it is. Then say, we have already agreed. After 5 minutes, we would off this, and then if you don't off on first warning, mama would warn you for the second time. Even if you do not do that, mama will off the TV. Tell it to the child. And then even after 2 warnings, the child won't listen of the TV. The child will surely do not feel bad. Instead, child will understand that mama has warned me twice. She had told me earlier, the child is fine. But if you suddenly comment off the TV, the child would get disturbed and this would go on for 1 hour more. So
Yeah.
you cannot make your child do any other activity as well. This is what I feel this would help. I feel many of the mothers would have this question, especially with the screen time, right?
Yes.
Set limits, tell them what to do, let there be limits, and whatever decisions you take, maybe the child is very small, still involve the children in that, because once children are involved, they take the responsibility to do that. If you alone, you are giving the instruction, the child is not responsible. It is, oh, mama has told, she will look after it. Like, I am not responsible for that.
Yeah,
Right?
very correct. Yes. I have experienced both ends, when I have discussed and when I have done, just
Yes.
go and turn on the TV,
Yes.
she's on.
Yes, and the tantrum will go long for 1 hour together. Then yes, then you can't do anything else. And sometimes we'll have to like switch on the TV once again. That happens.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you do not want that to happen, don't have a power struggle. Better discuss earlier, and then allow your child to do that. Right? This was one thing that I want to tell. Right? And
I think we can ask questions if they have any questions from the
yeah.
participants.
Yeah, and one more thing, like, yeah, yes,
Questions, doctor, we listed, in our discussion we have spoken about so many stimulations. Okay, so I just want to kind of list them down. Okay, and you can add
yeah,
if I missed it. So that would be kind of good input to our to the people who are live with us. Okay, so first thing that we spoke about was that we should be calm,
yes,
not talk to the children in a high voice. Okay, we should
yes,
yeah, right. I mean, that was the one thing. Next, we spoke about the brain, the neural connections present in the brain, and that if we provide the or maybe if you want to brief it down, you can brief it if you want to do it.
no, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yes,
Neural
I,
connections
you did,
that are in place in the brain, if we provide the right stimulation, say the if stimulation is not provided, they eventually die away. That's what we discussed. So
yes,
if you want to if you want your child to be interested in music, or learn some activity which you want your child to learn, then start it at an early age. Okay, it's not like you
yes,
have to push the child, but then you can constantly keep providing some inputs which will keep triggering those connections in the
yes,
child's brain. Okay, and they don't die off. Okay, so later on,
yes,
the child can actually pick up those things which you have kind of stimulated
yes,
in the early days
exactly,
of the child. Okay, so that was one thing which we spoke. The other thing was making eye contact. Okay, definitely, there are
yes,
situations that happen between you and your child. The child is throwing tantrums, you don't know what to do, and so on and so forth. Things will not change overnight, but then
yes,
there are certain habits which we can inculcate in ourselves. Like, say if the child is behaving badly, does not like a diaper change or something, then get down to the child's eye level, make an eye contact,
yes,
or pick the child up to your level, but ensure that you are having an eye contact with the child, and then daily keep practicing the same thing. You make an eye
yes,
contact, say the child in a very nice way that no, this is not supposed to be done, you have to do this. That can be for any situation, any difficult situation.
yes,
That is one
yes,
suggestion which Dr. Pavitra suggested us to do. And don't leave it in between, keep going. I mean,
yes,
we need another session for mothers to handle stress. That is a different thing. For holistic development of your child, you should be you should continue with that habit. Okay, another thing which was suggested by Dr. Pavitra was that many moms have that problem. Even I have that problem with my kid. I always complain, he does not sleep, it's a big task for me, and I get irritated, I get frustrated. But then, I mean, definitely we have to have that patience in us,
yes,
and
yes,
get some kind of routine set for the child.
Yes.
Maybe you're singing
Yes.
okay. So keep singing that to the child so that like the child associates, in the brain.
Yes.
Okay, if this is happening, then this is what I'm supposed to do next. Okay, if my
Yes.
mother is singing a lullaby, means that I have to sleep now. Okay, so it can be a lullaby or it can be just humming or
Story.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes, yes.
or you can just play some light music in the background. So that is one more
Yes. Yes.
right? So yeah, I mean, this was just like kind of like summarizing the points that we discussed,
Yes.
which may help the people
Yeah. One thing, Nilüfer, I would just say in a nutshell that, see, early years are a prime time, they are prime time. Like, they come only once in lifetime of every child. So we cannot see, after passing of 6 to 8 years, then, oh, I repent that I didn't do much for my child, I want it back. You will never get that back. So I say, whatever you want to do it right. Because I've seen many people saying, oh, I'll invest there for my child, I'll take a land for my child, I'll do that for my child. But invest in quality time with your child early in life. Invest in understanding or gaining knowledge for stimulating your child early in life. That would mean you're totally investing into the success, happiness of the future, like what the child would be in the future.
Right.
Right? This
Right.
is what I feel. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody wants to ask any questions, we can do so. We have extended, but because we started a little late, so we thought
Yes.
we could.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile,
And
if anybody
yes.
has any questions, you all can ask now or also later.
Yeah.
If you want to contact Dr. Pavitra, you all can do it. We have her Instagram handle as well in the post, or else you all
Yes.
can contact us and we can direct you all to her.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can do that later as well. I mean, if at all you all are having any questions and if somebody approaches us, we can direct them to you, Doctor.
Yes, what I would say till then is please provide unconditional love to your child, whatever your mood is. It like your love shouldn't depend on your mood. This usually happens with most of the mothers, especially if you're working. Like even I have experienced it. Like because I'm telling you doesn't mean that I have not had any problem. Like I have experienced it becomes so difficult when you have to handle all the stress and be a good mother. Trying to be that, it becomes very difficult. But every time you are doing something wrong, try to remember that I'm not supposed to do this and redirect yourself. Work with yourself. Working with yourself would mean a lot. Before working with the child, work with yourself. Self-work is very important. That is going to help. And take support of your spouse, of the family members. That's also very important. You alone cannot handle everything.
Correct.
Okay, you alone, like you are not a super mom, see, if someone is seeing your television, oh, one mom is running here, she next moment she comes home, she does that. No, that doesn't happen. That happens only in films. It is filmy. That super mom cannot be there. Please, if some men are over here, I say please support your wives. If there are some like mother-in-laws or father-in-laws over here, I say please support them, because they would need, because at the same time when they are doing so much, they would need time to rest. They would they want to refresh, they want to rejuvenate and then come back again as a mother. Before a mother they are human being themselves, so give them all that opportunity. Yes, I would say, yeah, a lot of hearts coming out when I say this. Yes. Yes, they are bubbling out. Okay. I find I feel, and talk to your child, whatever it is, as though you're talking to your friend. Like talk to your child continuously. That would give a lot of stimulation to them, because language is the basis for many other stimulations. Remember, if you want your child to be cognitively developed well, yes. I'm not able to hear you. Yes.
We are almost at the end of the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this is what I want to say. Keep speaking to